Lost my mom in a house fire at 16 and got placed in foster care because my wealthy uncle didn't want me. Then uncle's wife showed up wanting custody and revealed the real reason my uncle abandoned me. The firefighters wouldn't let me go back inside. I stood on the lawn barefoot. At 2 in the morning was still in there. I could hear her screaming my name from the second floor before the roof collapsed, and then I couldn't hear anything anymore. A neighbor wrapped a blanket around me while strangers held me back. The funeral was small because my mom did have many. She worked double shifts at a textile factory, but spent every day off with me. That was her whole world. A social worker named Arlene explained that since my father was never in the picture, they needed to find a legal guardian or I'd enter foster care. I told her I had an uncle, lived 40 minutes away in a 6-bedroom room, house with a pool and a 300-car garage. He owned a chain of auto dealerships, Pauline drove a white Range Rover. We used to see them at holidays. My mom and Everett had some falling out when I was around 10 and we stopped going to family gatherings. Y'all never explained why she had just changed the subject whenever I asked Arlene. Called Everett that afternoon. I sat in her office, watching her face shift from professional to confused to something close to disgusted. She hung up and looked at me carefully. Your uncle has declined to take custody. What do you mean decline? He said he's not in a position to take on a teenager right now. Not in a position, 6-bedroom and more money than my mom made in 10 years. I went into foster care that week. The first home was fine, but I slept on a pull-out in the basement. I went to a new school where nobody knew me and ate lunch alone every day. At night, I'd replay that sound. The roof collapsing. The silence. I got moved to a second home, then a third, each one more temporary than the last. I stopped unpacking my bag completely. That was the point. 7 months after the fire, Darlene called saying someone wanted to see me. I assumed it was a new placement. Polly walked into the office. My uncle's wife looked different from how I remembered, thinner. She'd been crying because her eyes were swollen and dry. She sat across from and did speak for a long time. Then she said I didn't know. Didn't know what? Didn't know what? Had Everett refused you. He told me you chose to stay in foster care, said you were angry at the family, and didn't want to live with us. My chest went tight. He said I chose this. I believed him for 7 months. I kept asking why you wouldn't come. You were adjusting. You needed space. You blamed us for not being closer to your mom. None of that is true. I know that now. She pulled a folder from her bag and signed with legal paper. Your mom had a life insurance policy. Pauline said quietly, $250,000. You were the sole beneficiary, but since you were a minor, the payout required a legal guardian to manage the fund. He pointed to a line on the document. Contacted the insurance company 3 days after the funeral. Told them he was your guardian. They sent the check to his address. He took my money. Deposited it into a private account, and he's been using it to cover losses at to dealerships that have been bleeding money for a year. That's why he refused custody. The court would appoint a financial overseer for your inheritance. He couldn't steal from you with someone watching. The letter at the bottom was from my mom, written years ago and kept to the policy addressed to Everett. Anything happens to me, please take care of my baby. She's all I have and you're all she has. We haven't spoken, but you're still my brother. But please don't let her be alone. Pauline was crying now. He read this letter and still turned you away. Even in death, she tried to protect me, and her own brother intercepted everything. I filed for emergency custody and hired a lawyer. This morning, I'm also reporting Everett for fraud and misappropriation of a minor's funds. He squeezed harder. What about Everett? Everett can explain himself to a judge. I took her hand. 2 weeks later, the court froze his accounts and recovered every dollar. I moved into her new apartment, and for the first time in 7 months, I unpacked my bag completely.